They're the size of the Eiffel Tower, and they're coming to a beach near you. Giant wind farms built in the ocean near the coast, sending locals into a spin. Supporters say the turbines will keep the world turning. Others are fighting to keep the sea free.
Who would have thought something so peaceful could create so much turbulence?
They're so stuck with the idea that somehow a few wind turbines is going to save the world.
As the saying goes, when the winds of change blow, some people build walls, others build windmills.
I think this is the new frontier.
But giant wind turbines the size of the Eiffel Tower off our coast is no wind-up.
The highest turbines ever built, 270 metres high, floating with an electrical cable coming out the bottom, tethered to the ocean floor. I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
It might be touted as clean energy, but behind the scenes, allegations of dirty tricks.
They throw in a bit of politics as well.
In its renewable energy drive, the federal government wants to build offshore wind farms off our coast, much like Europe and the US. 6 ocean zones have been earmarked so far, including 90 kilometres south of Sydney off the Illawarra coast, which is tipped to be home to the world's largest wind turbine cluster, 300 of them rising across 15,000 square kilometres. Wollongong, home to behemoth BlueScope Steel, a big employer and an even bigger energy user. How tall is this ship here? And it's here off the coast the steel giant will draw its power from hundreds of wind turbines anchored to the seabed, according to Federal Climate Change and Energy Minister Chris Bowen.
People say, why the Illawarra, why not Sydney? Well, it's really about creating the jobs in the Illawarra. The very large steel manufacturer at BlueScope needs renewable energy to stay competitive.
There's more wind out here than on land, but there's also more whales, according to Grant Drinkwater from the Coalition Against Offshore Wind.
And that's probably the busiest whale migration zone in the world. There's 40,000 whales going up and back.
There is some evidence from overseas that actually renewable energy can generate more tourism. People come and see these things.
So, from whale watching to windmill watching, just what would a wind farm look like from shore?
And I know what it does to the view.
This is one of the few mocked-up images released so far.
So the visualisation they gave us, you couldn't actually see the turbines. It was like they were invisible, like they were see-through.
Drinkwater fears this scenario. This ship is about 10 kilometres out to sea and some 30 metres tall. The wind turbines are 270 metres tall. But Minister Bowen has the power to place the turbines much farther away than this.
There's still so many people don't know what's proposed. And so when they find out, they go, what? That can't be real.
Conspiracy theories and an allegation of a conflict of interest.
Hi, I'm Alison Burns, the federal member for Cunningham, here in Denmark looking at offshore wind.
Wollongong-based federal Labor MP Alison Burns enjoyed a study tour of Denmark's offshore wind farms. She now supports them being built here.
Does she have to go and have a look on it, with the Danish government helping out over there?
Burns declined to be interviewed, leaving Chris Bowen to defend his colleague.
Alison's trip was self-funded. She paid for it herself. She, at her own expense, went off and saw how this stuff works overseas. I think that's to be commended, not criticised.
Under parliamentary privilege, Burns claimed detractors are distorting a petition.
My office has been waylaid in having to sort through the countless fake emails, fake profiles and pseudonyms. This is a coordinated action by a select few.
Offshore opponents received a big jolt last week when foreign company Bluefloat prematurely published detailed plans to build the wind farm ahead of the community consultation window, which closes tomorrow.
It really makes you think it's a fait accompli. It's going ahead no matter what the community says.
We've got more consultation to do, and I've got to weigh up the community feedback, concerns, before I declare the zone.
What discussions, if any, did the government have with Blue Float before the so-called proverbial hit the fan?
None from my point of view. I mean, I've seen some people say in the local media, oh, the Blue Float would have done this unless they had a green light from the government. With respect, that is just not true.
Yeah, what's the difference to having wind turbines out here compared to those smokestacks on land?
Wollongong started as an industrial place. That's how, you know, it started with the coal mines and then the steel works. You've got to have industry, right, to make things and make steel. And, you know, I think people in the Illawarra are proud of that history. So that's there and we're happy to have that there. But, you know, the industrialisation of the ocean is a completely different thing.
Yet this proposed whale of a wind farm has gained some surprising backers.
Unfortunately, there is a lot of misinformation and disinformation going around. There is no evidence that offshore wind farms are harming, in particular, whales.
Kelly O'Shannessy is the CEO of the Australian Conservation Foundation. It's one of several green groups urging us all to look at the big picture.
If we do not build renewable energy and offshore wind farms, life on Earth is at risk. And I know that sounds like a big claim, but it's 100% backed very clearly in the science.